Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we are tackling one of the absolute most deceptively frustrating IT headaches out there. If you're in local IT, a senior director, or even a CEO trying to figure out why your ZeroTrust rollout is stalling, you are definitely going to want to stick around for this. We're looking at Microsoft EntraID, and more specifically, the dreaded pending state for hybrid joined devices. We're going to decode exactly what this state means, why it happens, and most importantly, how to fix it for good using the comprehensive guide from Endpoint Weekly.
So, you might be wondering, why are compliant devices suddenly failing your security policies? It's a scenario that literally keeps IT leadership up at night. You look in your Entra portal and a device seems to be sitting right there. It looks perfectly fine, but silently, it is breaking your zero-trust architecture. You know, your users might be getting blocked by conditional access policies, or maybe Windows Hello for Business is just outright refusing to work. Why? Because looking registered in a portal doesn't actually mean the device is healthy.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. First, the pending state problem. Second, diagnosing the root causes. Third, single device remediation. Fourth, Active Directory object conflicts. And finally, number 5, bulk fixes and verification.
Section 1. The pending state problem. Let's look at the symptoms.
When Entra Connect syncs your on-premises Active Directory to the cloud, it projects a computer object into EntraID. But at that exact moment, it's really just a shell. It's a placeholder. The pending state simply means this object exists in the cloud, but the actual physical machine sitting on your user's desk has never reached out and completed the cryptographic handshake to prove, hey, I own this object. It basically has no device key yet. Now, while a temporary pending state is totally normal right after a sync, a persistent one, that's a major red flag.
For the senior directors and executives tuning in, I really want to emphasize that this is not just some minor technical glitch. This is a massive security and compliance failure for the business. When a device is stuck in pending, it is not considered hybrid joined. That means it breaks your conditional access policies. It completely halts call management enrollment with Intune. It disrupts Windows Hello for Business, and it blocks any access claims that require a compliant device. It essentially snaps the chain of trust that your entire security perimeter relies on.
Moving on to Section 2, diagnosing the root causes. Let's identify the problem.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how simple the first diagnostic step is. IT admins can use a standard command prompt running as a local administrator. By just typing dsregcmd/status, you get an immediate health check. Look at a healthy device. It clearly shows AzureAdJoined as yes and WorkplaceJoined as no. But for a broken device, AzureAdJoined is no, and WorkplaceJoined is unexpectedly yes. This instantly points us toward a certificate conflict, which we are definitely going to unpack shortly.
Now, for the systems engineers out there, Event Viewer is your absolute best friend here. Specifically, you want the User Device Registration Admin log. This critical diagnostic table shows you exactly what to hunt for. Event IDs 304, 305, and 307, that is exactly what you want to see. It means your network is reachable and the device key was successfully written. But if you spot event 220, you've got an HTTP error from the device registration service, meaning a network or proxy issue. And if you see event 335, it means the device object already exists, signaling a stale object conflict in Active Directory.
So, just summarizing the most common culprits that cause the state to persist for days, you're usually looking at network or firewall rules blocking the endpoints, stale attributes or certificates left over from previous setups, a device that was maybe moved to a new organizational unit and missed the sync window, or, and this happens surprisingly often, a simple time synchronization issue.
And speaking of time, I really have to emphasize this critical number, plus or minus 5. The Kerberos time tolerance for this cryptographic handshake is exactly plus or minus 5 minutes. If your local machine system clock drifts beyond this 5-minute window compared to your domain controllers, the handshake will instantly fail, and yep, you will be stuck in pending. It's such a simple environmental check, but it catches even the most seasoned engineers completely off guard.
Section 3, Single Device Remediation. Let's look at fixing one machine at a time.
Okay, so here is the actionable sequence to clear the local device registration state and force a fresh attempt. It actually requires 2 separate sessions. First, you run dsregcmd/leave in an elevated prompt. This clears the slate. Then you step down to a standard non-elevated user prompt and trigger the automatic DeviceJoined scheduled task. This forces the device to reach back out and attempt the handshake with Entra all over again.
Actually, before you touch the keyboard, the crucial point is you absolutely must know what type of device you're working on.
Running the /leave command on a hybrid join device is perfectly safe. The domain join is preserved and the user can still sign in using traditional NTLM or Kerberos. But if you run this on a pure, non-hybrid Entra-joined machine, danger. No way around it, it will remove the existing registration and completely break the user's ability to sign in, effectively locking them out of their own machine.
Section 4. Active Directory Object Conflicts. Time to dig into back-end issues.
So remember Event 335 from our Event Viewer table? This happens when a machine is re-imaged without the old computer object being deleted from Active Directory. The AD object still carries a stale msDS-DeviceID attribute. Entra Connect pushes this stale ID up to the cloud, and Entra just outright refuses to overwrite an existing device ID with a new cryptographic key. The handshake fails because the backend is basically saying, hey, I already have a key for this ID, I am not accepting a new one.
And this brilliantly illustrates a silent back-end killer, the certificate conflict. If a user previously registered their machine personally, a WorkplaceJoined certificate gets left behind in the machine's local certificate store. When the system attempts a proper hybrid join later on, this leftover WorkplaceJoined certificate actually conflicts with and completely blocks the correct hybrid join certificate from being issued. You literally have to go into the local certificate manager and manually delete the stale WorkplaceJoined certs before that machine can successfully register.
Section 5. Bulk Fixes and Verification. Scaling up to Enterprise Solutions.
Now, if you are dealing with dozens or even hundreds of devices stuck in pending, which is super common after a mass reimage or maybe an Entra Connect tenant migration, a group policy object startup script is your ultimate scalable blueprint. The script runs in the system context when the machine boots up. It automatically performs the /leave command and cleans up those stale certificates we just talked about. Then, the next time the user logs in, the scheduled task fires automatically, completely resolving the issue silently in the background. It's a real game changer for bulk fixes. Here is a huge pro tip to remember. If you had to clear out stale AD attributes, or let's say you move devices between organizational units, you have to force an Entra Connect sync before the machines attempt to register again. A delta sync handles basic attribute changes, but you will need a full sync if you've moved OU scopes. Without this sync, the cloud just won't know about the changes you made on premises, and the registration will just fail all over again. Of course, none of this works if the device can't talk to Microsoft. Here are the mandatory network endpoints on port 443 that your devices must absolutely be able to reach to complete the handshake. We're talking about the device registration service itself, Azure AD Auth, token endpoints, and the certificate revocation lists. If your firewall blocks literally any of these, the device is going to stay in pending forever. I really want to emphasize this direct warning from Endpoint Weekly. If your corporate proxy performs TLS or SSL inspection, you must bypass it for these endpoints. The handshake uses mutual TLS elements. If your proxy eagerly intercepts that traffic to inspect it, it destroys the mutual trust, and the registration will immediately break.
Okay, so you've run your fixes, synced your servers, and checked your firewalls. To verify success, guide your team to run dsregcmd /status one last time. You're looking for a perfect scorecard here. AzureAdJoined is yes, domain joined is yes, WorkplaceJoined is no. The primary refresh token, or AzureAdPrt, is yes, and your device ID GUID is fully populated. Once you see all of this, the device has successfully moved from pending to fully hybrid AzureAdJoined. So we've covered the tools, the back-end conflicts, and the enterprise-scale solutions. But I want to leave IT leadership with one final, provocative question based on what we just learned. Is your network proxy secretly breaking your zero-trust architecture? You know, you might have the best policies in the world, but if your SSL inspection rules are quietly intercepting device registration handshakes, your endpoints will never truly be secure. It might be time to review your own network configurations today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep building securely.